Hello, everyone. We are live here in Birmingham, Alabama. Listen, there is nothing in the world like being back home. Well, I'm not home. You know, home for me is Monroeville, Alabama. But I'm sitting here with Miss Latedra Dixon out of Daphne, Alabama. But we're both here representing our teams at the AAU tournament this weekend. Hello, Miss Latedra.
How you doing?
Aren't you beautiful?
Thank you.
I'm telling you, listen, do you know that whenever I meet somebody, we hit it off right away? This young lady right here, beautiful, just awesome human being. So we were talking about the show, and she said that she was going to be in Birmingham as well this weekend. And I thought, wow, why not just do the show right here live, right? I know. Listen, well, if you are just tuning into the Ella Johnson Show, we welcome you. Thank you so much. If you're watching from YouTube, wonderful. All you need to do is just share the broadcast and subscribe to my channel, because if you're there, you're already there. You just hit a button, subscribe, and then hit the alarm button so that you won't miss another one of the Ella Johnson Show, because we have good stuff over here. Real talk TV here on the Ella Johnson Show. And if you're watching from Facebook, we appreciate that as well. Just share and bring someone else in, because another domestic violence story, the Latedra Dixon story. Are you excited about being here to share your story, Latedra?
Yes, I sure am.
Yeah, because she's been through a lot, guys. And, you know, one of the reasons I do these domestic violence broadcasts is because my cousin was a victim, Latedra, and she didn't make it out, you know. She didn't make it out. She wasn't one of the lucky ones. So the people who are here that survived it, they love to come to the broadcast so they can share how they got out and why, right?
Yes.
If you're watching and you know that you're someone that's in a situation, all right? Not a situation, a situation, right? Situation.
That's right.
And you know you need to get out, but you haven't found the courage. I hope that you will be encouraged after today's broadcast to get out, because it might be too late. You know, we don't want that to happen. If you're or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. I have that number scrolling at the bottom of the screen. But if you would like to share your story as well, hit me up, 407-334-6997. So what team is your son on, Miss Latedra?
Playing for the Alabama Kings.
Alabama Kings.
Yes.
Well, my nephew is with the SCE Tigers out of Tampa. Now, see, I didn't tell you to represent, you know. kind of held that to myself. But you're here, and her son. You have two sons that are playing in this tournament. Tell us a little bit about your sons.
One is 15 and one is 12.
Right.
They lost their dad like 4 years ago. He drowned, and so the 15-year-old, he just indulged himself in sports, and so as well as the 12-year-old. So that's what I do. I just run.
She runs. Listen, there's nothing, because we love when our sons are doing positive things.
Yes.
Listen, guys, if you're just tuning in, what we need for you to do is please share the broadcast. But we're going to take just a quick break. And after this, you're going to get to hear the story, another domestic violence story, the Latedra Dixon story. We'll be right back. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. One day someone asked me, Ella, what is so special about doing talk shows? Like, why do you do it? I said, because I love for people to see that God is using them, because things don't happen to you. They actually happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So hit that share button and invite your family and friends to watch the Ella Johnson Show. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, we're back. If you are just tuning in, today's broadcast is being shot live from Birmingham, Alabama. We're in this nice hotel here. I'm with Latedra Dixon, and she agreed to come onto the Ella Johnson Show to share her story, domestic violence, how she got out. Listen, as you know, if you've ever followed me, you know that I love doing these types of shows because we are obligated as broadcasters and talk show hosts to bring information to you that's going to change your life. Well, at least that's what we do on the Ella Johnson Show. And so domestic violence is something that is continuing in this country. People are still losing their lives, and the majority of your family are suffering in silence. So we have to bring it into that, and we have to do it the best way we can. And this is how I know. And I bring in Latedra. She's out of Daphne, but she's here in Birmingham with me, and she wanted to share her story. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Isn't she beautiful? I love your braids, right? Now, tell everybody who your sons are and how they got involved in this event today.
My sons are Christian and Sherez Gardner. They play ball all the time. One is in high school and one is getting ready to go to middle school. So they play sports. They play football. Basketball is their passion. And so I try to keep them, indulged in positive.
Oh, yeah. I love that. And they won their first game today.
Yes.
Well, we don't play until 5:00. So that's why I was able to do this. Of course, we had our breakfast downstairs this morning, and I'm feeling pretty good because now listen, y'all know we country. We had to bring some stuff back to the room. Come on now. Right, Latedra? She's laughing, but she has family. Where is your family? Because I was telling her I'm from Monroeville, and you have family where?
I have family out of Beatrice.
And y'all
Beatrice,
know,
Alabama.
That's right. Y'all know what that means for us. Shields. They were our rivals. They were in a competition for Monroe County High School. But that's a different show. But listen, guys, if you're tuning in, I appreciate it. I want to make sure that you guys know that we love for you to leave your comments. They will appear on the screen just like this. Looks like my grandson Isaiah has nothing else to do today. So he's there. And I appreciate you, Mr. Campbell, for always tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. But listen, guys, we need more of you to leave your comments and suggestions and concerns and questions that you may have for Latedra. So let's tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in Daphne.
Actually, I grew up in Mobile.
Okay.
I grew up there. It's rough. It is rough.
What part of Mobile did you live? Where?
I grew up in a single parent home, so I was in
Oh,
between my dad's and my mom's. So
right,
they grew up kind of like down the Bay Area, my mom, and then my dad's side was more of Maysville area.
right.
So
So pretty dynamic. What was it
yes,
like growing up in separate households like that?
it was confusing a little.
Really?
Being young, but you just know that you're going to visit on one side of the family, but then you're going back home
Now,
to
were they divorced? Is that why they were separate?
no, they
No,
were never married.
never married.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. But it was a pretty decent childhood
yeah.
growing up, right?
Hmm.
Because, a lot of people, that's where it starts. But you grew up going to church every Sunday, I'm sure.
We went to church every
Yes,
Sunday.
y'all know that's
We
how
did.
it is in those country
Yeah,
households. Oh, you
yeah.
going to church? Oh,
Oh,
you
you
just
got
got in
yeah,
from the club?
yeah,
Oh, it doesn't matter. You can wear
yeah,
your club clothes to
yeah,
church, but you're going to church, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what it
So
was like. So did you experience any type of hardship when you were growing up?
a
That
lot of
you a lot
hardship.
of hardship.
Yes,
What kind?
my mom was looking at it now back then is that you do the best that you
Of
can with
course,
what you got.
of course.
So
Yeah,
at the time it was just like you do what you need to do to get by.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, do you remember what is your favorite childhood memory growing up? We
Um,
all have a favorite, right?
I don't know, but I would say mostly like just being around my brothers and sisters at the time,
Yeah.
because I have a brother that's deceased now, and so just looking back at all the time that I was able to spend with him during my childhood.
Did he die when you were young?
No, he died about 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Wow.
Hmm.
Let's talk about him. What's his name?
His name was Willie.
What happened?
He was in a group home, and one of the workers that wasn't trained, she tried to lift him on her own, and she wound up dropping him. And so then that led to brain hemorrhaging.
Oh
Hmm.
no. And
Yeah,
he was how old?
he was 32.
Oh my God. Why was he in a group home? What kind of group home?
He was handicapped. He had
Oh,
cerebral
okay.
palsy.
Okay.
So
Oh wow.
yeah,
So what's your favorite memory that you remember with him?
just he's always he has this tight grip of a hug. When you go to hug his neck, he will put you in, we call it the chokehold.
That's so cool. Was that because he was just strong, or did that
Yes.
have something to do with
Yeah.
his?
No, it's because he
He
was
was just
strong. That
strong,
was his
right?
upper
Right.
strength.
So tell me a little bit about your dating life, because I know, growing up in Alabama, a lot of times, we don't get that doesn't exist until later. But now me, on the other hand, I was fast, so I
Yeah.
started a little early. But what was your experience like when you started dating, and how was that embraced by your family?
Well, on my dad's side, it was like no.
No.
Yeah.
So you get
That
to
was
sneak.
yeah.
You get to sneak.
Yeah, on that dad's
Yeah.
side, but mostly like with my mom, it was kind of like a free will.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow, that's usually rare, because
Yeah.
usually those country moms, they're very strict, all of them. But she was just kind of, you got away with a lot of stuff,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I hear
Mhm.
you. So did you have good, healthy relationships with guys growing up?
No,
No.
no,
Even as a young girl?
no.
So tell me the age you were when you had the first horrible experience with a boy, with a guy.
The first horrible was maybe about 11 years old.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. When you're in elementary school,
Yeah.
because we moved a lot, and
Right.
so I was at different schools a lot in between, and so when a boy would like you, they would. At the time, I didn't know that was normal,
For a
but
boy to like
I
you?
mean, well, I knew that it was normal for a boy to like you, but the things that they did wasn't normal, but you thought they were normal.
Okay, so what kind of stuff did an 11-year-old boy do to you?
He was one. He came and grabbed me, and kind of like put his arm around my neck and was like, "You gonna be
Kind
my
of rough?
girlfriend?"
Oh,
Yes,
really?
yeah. And so
Oh, so
I
we
was
doing
like,
that now.
"Yeah,
He was like, "No,
that's
you're gonna be mine,"
yeah,
just
that's
like
how it
that.
was."
Okay.
Yeah,
And so how did that feel? Did that feel kind of like, okay, sure?
yeah,
You
yeah.
said
Kind
sure,
of like just go with the flow.
right?
Yeah.
Did he do something to you that would have somehow traumatized you in some kind of way, or was he just a normal 11-year-old boy?
I would say just a normal
Just a
review.
normal.
Hmm.
So what was the next experience you had where you didn't like it, that a boy did to you growing up?
Maybe about 15 or 16.
Okay, what was that experience like?
it wasn't good because you think you get in a relationship with somebody being
Mhm.
young,
Right.
and not really knowing the full of life. You think that things that you see in the house become normal.
So what kind of things did you see in the house that became normal for you?
When you start seeing like domestic violence in the house,
So you grew up
you just
seeing,
yeah,
witnessing
right,
domestic violence
yes,
with your mom.
yes.
Was it with your dad or another man?
It was with another man.
What did he do? What kind of stuff did you witness?
They will fight.
Like physical fight?
Yeah,
Like
physical
really
fight,
fighting?
or
Did you
yeah,
guys did you guys get involved? I mean, I know you were kids, but did you guys like get off my mama? That
yes,
kind of
yes.
really?
Because when you're a kid, you love your parent and you don't want to see your mom hurt,
Yeah.
but you don't know better because you're young. So that's been an ongoing
And
thing.
I think it's important for our viewers to stop right here and get this because a lot of times families and not putting any blame on anybody because we all grew
Right.
up doing what we know to do,
Yes.
but it's like we don't know what's happening to our children when they're witnessing these types of events happen in the home,
Right.
because what it did for you is you kind of followed that path,
Right. Yes.
because you thought it was
Normal.
normal.
Right.
And we as adults, we know it's not normal to watch your mom be hit on, or your father be hit on, because there's domestic violence both ways.
Both ways. Yeah.
But at the same time, we allow our kids to see this, and this is why we do these shows too, because a lot of times parents right now, you may have kids that are witnessing you being abused, and this is what happens when they see this. The pattern continues. All right, so now you're witnessing this, and now you're getting into the first relationship that you've had with a boy. Tell me what that was like, the first guy that put his hands on you. Take us forward to that.
Um, the first guy, because when I got older, drug dealing was a big thing where we live at. So
It's
I
not a
got.
big thing anymore.
I don't know.
Right,
I'm
right.
married.
I know, right? Well, it's not a big, because now the
You know,
government's selling
yeah,
drugs,
right.
but it's all good.
But
Yeah.
it was bigger when I was younger.
Right.
And so because I guess the time has changed a lot too.
Right.
People change. And so being involved with drug dealers that came with,
Oh, wow. So that's a whole different dynamic. That's
It
like a whole
is.
different broadcast.
It
But
is.
let's talk about it. You got involved with a drug dealer. Did you know he was a drug dealer?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you just like drug dealers?
No, I liked the money
I
though.
know. She's keeping it real. Listen,
The money.
she said, no, I didn't particularly like what they did, Ella, because, I knew his
Yeah.
life was not going to be great, but I like that money. No, that's real talk. That's
Yes.
real. So that's why you got involved, because it's like,
Yes.
it was he provided a
Yes.
comfortable life for you.
Mhm.
Did he ever get caught?
Yes, a few times, but not while I was there. Thank God.
But he was the first one that put his hands on you.
Yes.
All right. Take us to that experience.
Well, just say maybe a lot of us sitting around and just chit chatting, and they drinking. At the time, I wasn't drinking because I was young, but I was smoking a little, dabbing in weed here and there. And so, we would all be sitting around or something. They would get high, and you know, I might say the wrong thing that I didn't know, maybe offended him or something like
really?
that. Yeah.
Well, tell us a time when what is something that you said that he went off on?
Well, I don't exactly recall exactly what I said, but it was just something, because
Snapped in him.
Yeah. And so he didn't do it in front of everybody, but he was like, "You need to go to the room." And I was like, "Go to the room? What?" He was like, "You need to go in the room." And he kind of got up and pulled me by my arm, and kind of shoved me in the room. And so now, being young, I'm like, okay. So I stayed in the room until I guess everybody left, and when he came in the room, it was like lights out.
He hit you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did he hit you hard enough to send you to the hospital?
No.
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 Were you bleeding?
No.
Oh, okay. So then what? Did you say, I know this Negro did? I mean, I know my first word, no, he didn't. What was your reaction when that happened? Because I know it's the first time.
I couldn't believe
right.
that, something like that happened to me. But because of the environment that I grew in, I kind of thought it was normal.
Oh.
So
see, that's the part that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because you felt like this is just what women have to go through.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was about the money too.
Yes.
Okay. So now, when was the next time?
The next time was when, because this is my first husband. My first experience, the next experience was like with my first husband.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you went from one abusive guy to another one.
Yeah, and he was a drug dealer too.
She like, I'm sorry, you like
So,
drug dealers.
yeah.
But listen,
I mean,
everybody
I'm being
has
honest, yeah.
everybody has their hustle.
Yeah.
Listen, the way things are, I don't know. Maybe I should have quit. I'm just saying. But anyway, so I don't want to make light of that. But you were in this, now you're married.
Yes.
So you left that first guy. Now you've married your husband.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, we wasn't married. Me and my husband wasn't married at the time. Are you saying my previous husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's two husbands.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah.
so the first husband is the one that the drug dealer that took you to the room.
We wasn't married.
Y'all were married.
Yeah.
So he was just a boyfriend.
Yeah.
All right. So the next guy was the first husband.
Was my first husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the first time he violated you.
Okay. He was also a drug dealer, and they tapped into more than weed.
Oh.
They were doing more than weed.
Okay.
But I wasn't into all of that. I only, at this time, I was just working 2 jobs, just trying to, because I was going through some at my mom's, because like I told you previously, I pretty much had free range a little bit to do a lot of things. And so I needed a roof over my head when I got with my first husband. So it was like I needed a roof. You out here selling, drugs with the money.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me go back. So you're married to your first husband,
mm-hmm.
and you needed a roof. He didn't provide that roof?
This was before we got decided.
Before y'all got together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's selling drugs, and you said, look, I need to find somewhere to live.
Right.
And where did you go?
He fixed his house up where his dad left him. And so we moved in together.
Moved in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And everything was good at first.
At first.
It always starts out good at first.
Yeah.
Listen, that's that honeymoon stage, right? Where you guys, everything is great. He's lovey-dovey. You're falling in love.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't so good anymore. Tell us about the first time with this first husband.
Well, at the time, remember the beepers?
Yeah.
That's when beepers came out in the 90s, the late 90s. And his beeper would go off and it would be another female. And, of course, with house phones during that time, calling numbers back to see.
Oh, my gosh. Technology has changed so much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's getting calls from other women, and you knew that because you would call them.
Right. I would call them.
Would you say something to them?
I would confront him about the situation.
And what would he say?
It'll be like, oh, no, that's such calling for,
They always have excuses.
But why they got your beeper number?
Right.
And so they would go from there.
So you would confront him and he would beat you?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would those beatings be like? Tell me about the worst one that you got from him.
The worst one was the last one.
It usually is.
Yes. We were at one of my relatives' house. I had just had my second child, and she was an arm baby at the time. And we were sitting, we was at one of my family members' house. The kids were in playing. I had an older son. And as I was holding the baby, he was intoxicated or whatever, and he began to yell at the older son and the kids around. And I was like, let those kids be kids, and I had the baby in my arm, and when I went to turn around, he slapped me in front of everybody.
With the baby in your arm?
With the baby in my arm. I had forgot that I even had the baby in my arm. I had to lay her on the bunk bed, and we kind of went from there. And so then it had got so bad to where we was riding down the road. I had to pull a gun out on him and tell him, this is it. Like, this is it.
So there had been several beatings prior to this last one?
Yes.
Any of them, did you ever call the police?
No.
Did you ever go to the hospital?
No.
Why not?
I didn't get beaten that bad.
Doesn't matter.
Hospitalized.
Oh, it doesn't matter about the cops though.
That's true.
Police. Why not call the cops? Because this is stuff that I'm interested in knowing because I've never been there. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what is it? Is it fear?
Fear plays a part.
Fear plays a big part. Because of who he is. Part.
Well, not just who they is, but then where you gonna go? I got 2 kids. Even though I'm working, I'm trying to manage bills and stuff like that. But at the end, it really didn't even
So
matter.
how are you getting advantage of all this money from the drug dealer if you're having to still struggle?
He's
Because
not.
there's no, if
They
I'm going to
have
be with a
control.
drug dealer who's making money, I'm going to be stacking some money away for that rainy day.
Yeah, but
So
they
no,
control their
they
money.
control their
They
money.
control their money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he hit you. Now what? You don't have anywhere to go. So what? At this point, did you just realize I'm just going to have to take these beatings? Is
Well, for a while
prior
I
to
did.
that,
Yeah.
but then now this day, you said, you know what? You pulled the gun out. And what happened when you pulled the gun out on
He
him? Were
was
you
just.
planning to use it?
I was gonna use it. I cocked it back and everything. My baby
Really?
was our newborn baby was sitting in between us, and I told him, "This is it. You hit me again, you gonna die today."
Oof. I hate to say I'm happy to hear that, but I'm happy to hear that. You
Yeah.
finally had enough.
Yeah.
And what happened? He got out of the car and he's like, you know what? Forget you. Did he
He
let
did.
you? He just let you leave.
It wasn't easy, but
But you finally.
yeah,
Now, did this happen to you again?
it did. It did. Sad to say, it did. It really did. I got into another relationship, and I thought that, like you said, it started out real sweet and it started out real good.
They smooth now.
At this time, I had got approved to get into a low income housing place,
Mm-hmm.
and so me and my kids were staying. This one guy that I did start, dating and stuff. He got upset with me one time. This was like we had been in it for months. He got in, he made me. I was asleep. He came to my apartment, got me out of bed. I was in my night clothes, nothing on under there. Made me get in the car with him. His cousin was driving. Made him drive off. We were maybe like maybe 2.5 miles away from where I live, and they came to a stop sign, and I just had made up in my mind because he had then drugged me in the car. I was trying to get away from him, and he was beating me and drugged me in the car. So I had made up in my mind. I was like, you know what? I got to get out of here. They came to that stop sign. I jumped out of the car, Ella, with my night clothes on, and just ran just like I was running for my life.
You were. Oh my God. What led to that night though, where they had to do all of that? What happened?
I have no clue. Sometimes you don't know what's going on in people's mind. They just,
So did you think you were gonna die that night?
I did. I didn't, because I had left my kids. He had left my kids there. He just drugged me out of the house. And I'm like, I didn't even know what was going on.
He was going to kill you.
And later to find out
Yeah.
that you were upset because somebody tried to talk to me.
He was gonna kill you.
So
Sure.
it's just something was in my mind while they was riding. I seen that stop sign and some say jump out. And as soon as he went to slow down at that stop sign, I just jumped out the car, dirt and all. I just got up and kept running.
He didn't follow you?
No.
He just let you go.
Yeah.
Did you ever see him again?
I've seen him, but it was like years
Later.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the last time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's look at some comments here. Sandra, she says, "Hi sis. We always think it's going to be the last time."
That's true.
Yeah. What do you have to say to people that think the same way you did, and what Sandra's saying here too, that you think it's the last time? What would you like to look in that camera and tell people that are in a situation right now?
God always give us signs. You see it in the beginning, but we try to push it off and be like, oh, that wasn't nothing, that little thing that he said or that comment that they said, or the way they grabbed me and it offended me, but I'm just gonna brush it off. Those are signs. Those really are. Those are signs of it's gonna be something later.
Yeah. And what do you say to these people? Because you made a very interesting point, and I've heard this over and over in this broadcast, that where else are you going to go? He
Right.
controls the money. He has the money.
Mm-hmm.
He's the provider. What if, looking back at Latedra then, what would you say to that Latedra? Knowing what you know now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to her?
Girl, you better save some of that money and put it up.
That's what I was
let him pay them bills and stack, because looking back now,
yeah, of course.
and being able to now, of course, Even though I was raised in the church, I really didn't know God.
Mm, that's deep.
I didn't know God until I got grown, and he came to me and was like, "I've been protecting you all this time. I got a assignment for you to do." And even though we can't get it right every day,
Yeah,
but I asked him to help me try,
of course.
you know, and
Oh,
to take the veil off my eyes if it's anything that I'm missing that I can't see.
now this is important because you said when you were going through all of this, you were raised in the church, but God wasn't your source when you were going through all of this.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying. He
Wow.
wasn't. He was not.
Why is that? That is very curious to me that you're saying I grew up in the church, but when I was going through all this hell that I was going through, I did not seek God. Is it because you're so blinded by the situation? Is that what you think it is?
No, I would say that I didn't have that relationship with him, because when you start to spend time with things that you love and that you enjoy,
Mhm.
that's when you begin to open your eyes and your heart more to things that you enjoy and that you love. I love these men, loved these men so much till I was spending time with them. I was, okay, they like me to cook this. I was knowing the things that they like, where therefore I wasn't spending time in my Bible and my word to know what God loved too.
Yeah.
So how can I give, go to something that's a source that I didn't even spend time with or even build a relationship with?
So tell me the day, because this is very interesting to me. Tell me the day when you finally said, you know what? This it I'm doing ain't working. I need to get on my face before God because we all have that moment where we're like, you know what? It's an aha moment. It's like, wait a
Right.
minute. I've been doing it my way all these years. When was that day when you finally said, I gotta get on my face before God? This stuff ain't working. What I'm doing.
Okay, I had wound up meeting somebody,
Okay.
and then they actually moved me out of my environment, my familiar environment.
Wow.
And so, I was working or whatever, and I never forget it. I was working at McDonald's, and it was two women that was there. One was a manager, and one was like a lead person. And they began to talk about, church and all this, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, whatever, because of the things, my mind wasn't on that. And so, excuse me. And so they, was like, come on, we're gonna invite you to come to our church.
Right.
We having XYZ this night. And I was like, I don't know, you know,
So where did that come from? That I don't know. Why is that? Is it because of something you've heard, something you've experienced? Why were you reluctant to?
reluctant. Um, because I hadn't been in church in all that time,
Yeah.
and then being going through all those different
Yeah.
relationships and the things, I'm like, God is just,
It seems
he,
so distant to
yeah,
you, right?
yeah. And it's
That's the
like,
trick of the enemy.
I
Yeah.
haven't been, a person that he probably would like anyway. That's what's
Oh
going on in my
wow.
mind because of the things that not just I've allowed, but what I've done in my path. So
Right.
they invited me, and I kid you not, I think I went like this one time, and then I went again. But this next time that I went, it was a revival, and this lady by the name of Evangelist Carolyn Williams, I never forget it. This lady was up there preaching my
Your
entire
story.
story.
Oh
My
yes.
entire story.
Wow. And I know you're just sitting there like, what? Who
And
told
that's
them? Who
from that.
told them?
Yeah,
Right.
nobody, but nobody there knew me.
Wow.
Nobody in Foley knew me like that, like to know the in depths, the scars,
Yeah.
the things of that nature. And that was the day that my eyes were like the scales came off, and that's when God say, I'm here. And that's when I began to build my relationship with him.
Wow. Day by day.
Hmm.
So, for people that are running from God because of what they've done, what do you have to say to those people?
Be true. God is he said, I take you as you are.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you got to be over here and try to get holier than thou. Be yourself. Because that's what I do daily. I talk to God just like I'm talking to you. And I say, God, I messed up. You know what? I did X, Y, Z, or I need you to help me with this.
Right.
But you got to get in his word as well, because in order to build a relationship with him, you got to know him.
Hmm.
You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
just go and be by somebody and don't know them. You got
Right.
to, and
Wow. I mean,
that's
it
the
sounds
only
like you
way.
did a complete
I
turnaround.
did.
Wow.
I did.
And you credit that, would you say that you credit that to almost losing your life?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think that's so interesting because it's like it changes the trajectory of this story because now we realize that this is not just about domestic violence.
Right.
This is about when you are in domestic violence, it's almost like the enemy is trying to take your life.
It is. Yes.
And you knew that you deserved better than
Right.
what you had allowed yourself. Well, do you think that, do you have any friends that you know that are in a domestic violence situation?
No.
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 Wow, that's good. Now, what about, now, you don't have any daughters, but
I do.
how do you prepare your sons? Because men
Mhm.
are victims of domestic violence as well.
Yes.
How do you prepare your sons, and do you share with them what you went through?
Actually, I do. I have 2 daughters.
Oh, you have
Yes.
daughters.
Yes.
Okay, how do you prepare them? What do you say to them?
Well, first, I teach them about the Bible. I teach them how to build a relationship with God as individuals because,
Right.
like my oldest daughter, she's married and gone. Not only do she know about God and how to build that relationship with Him, her and her husband are doing it together. So, and like I
That is
told,
good. That's awesome.
because I told her, I said, the first thing, the Holy Spirit gonna let you know whether it's right or wrong. It's gonna lead you.
Now, did they witness any of this abuse that you had? That you
No,
They didn't. Oh,
no, she was an arm baby, but my oldest son did because
oh
he
boy.
was old enough to see things. So
And did he ever get counseling for that? Did you?
no,
No.
and that's a big issue too because as not just a woman but as a black woman, we feel like that these things are not going to affect our children, but they really do.
Ooh,
They
no.
affect them.
All right, now let's talk about it. I want to take a comment right now. Miss Sandra said, "Sometimes you are the provider, but have a fear of being alone," and that's exactly what you said
Yes.
too.
Yes.
So how do we, Sandra? How do we get out of that? How do we say, you know what? I'm leaving if I have to leave with nothing but the shirt on my back. And is that realistic? Was that realistic for you?
No.
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 So we say that not knowing that that's not really how it is when you're in that situation.
That's right.
Okay, I'm glad
Yes.
you're educating me about that
Yes.
because people on the outside looking in would say, "Just leave, girl. If you ain't got
How they
nothing."
say it's easier said
Said than
than done.
done.
You can tell me all day to leave, and I know I need to leave. But what the reality of it is, where am I gonna go? I got 2 kids. Who's gonna take us in? Who's
What
gonna
about
allow me?
shelters? Are we do has anyone ever talked to you about shelters and calling the domestic violence hotline?
No,
Any of those kinds of
because
things?
it again, being in that environment growing up, nobody. It's like you really don't even talk about it. They don't tell you the reality of, listen, this is not right. We need to get out of this situation. Those are things that I think that families need to be more aware of and more attentive to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. Um, oh wow. That brings up a lot of things because in our community, we all know we didn't talk about things.
Right.
Right. I'm sure in your household,
Yes.
what stays in this household,
Yes.
whatever goes on this household stays in this household. And that is something that I think has totally messed up our community
Right.
by not talking. Let's take another comment here. Miss Sandra says, for me, you read it. I can't see.
She said, for me, is when I have the thought of talking that person's life. That's when I hear and listen to the voice and get out, because sometimes we are in too deep. Yeah.
That was the title of her broadcast with me. In too deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. You spend so many years with that person, and as I said, you begin to think that that's just normal.
Wow.
What's abnormal becomes normal to the people that's in too deep in those relationships.
Yeah. I just, for me, I think about it because I know what the statistics look like for domestic violence. 1 in every 4 women,
Yes.
and then 1 in every 7 men are being victims of domestic violence. And I'm like, how do we change this? Do we need more resources? Do you think? Do we need to educate our men?
Yes.
Do we what do you think is the biggest thing that we need to do? And I'm asking those of you that are watching as well, what do we need to do to turn this around?
The biggest thing is that it got to start in your household.
Okay.
Because first, you have to ask God to break these curses. Number one.
Yeah, that
because
part. That part.
Generational
curses. Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
It is real. It may skip over me and get to my kids, So that's why you have to first build your relationship with God and ask him, anything that my parents did, let them pay for what they did. And
Don't
let's
bring
break
it
that
on
right.
through the
Exactly.
generations.
We have to start there and then as parents, we have to talk to these kids about things that went on, that go on in your house.
Yes.
Like we can't sweep stuff under the rug anymore.
Very good
because
point.
It's very damaging.
Very good point.
Very, very damaging.
And why do you think? And I know it's because that's what they were raised with. Because we, like I said, we all grew up in that time where what goes on in this house stays in this house. But when they're seeing what's going on in the house, they have no outlet.
Right.
Because it's like, I want to tell somebody my mom needs help, but I might get beat.
A situation occurred in our house, and being an older child and DHR get involved, you don't want to tell.
That's a whole trick of the devil to DHR.
That's what but you don't want to tell what really went on in your house because you know you're going to get separated, and none of your family is going to take all these kids in because they already got things going on themselves. So the scenario goes on and on and on about why people don't talk.
So did any of the kids ever talk when mom was being beaten? Did any of y'all say anything to anybody?
Later on in life, we did.
After it's all done and said and done, but
Mm-hmm.
not at the time.
Right.
Is it because she said not to, or you just inherently knew that you couldn't say anything?
Yeah, we knew
not to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. What is that? I mean, I know she didn't like being beaten. I know you didn't like being beaten.
No.
But you can't say anything because of he's gonna go to jail. Have you ever seen someone go to jail for beating someone?
No.
Never.
No.
Have you ever heard of it?
I have.
Okay. But you never felt encouraged to call the cops. You're like, look, we're not gonna bring these people in our business.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever feel, other than the night where you had your worst beating, did you ever feel like he could possibly kill me? Like, were you laying in bed and just thought, you know what, I got to get out of here? Did you, in your mind, have an exit plan?
No, I didn't.
Right. That's real. Because I think that, we had somebody that was on the broadcast one time and they talked about the exit plan, and she prepared herself by, my friend Tina, she prepared herself by getting her bank accounts under control, starting a new bank account, kind of going to the bank, putting some money over there, leaving money for him instead of taking everything out. But she had a plan and she eventually executed it. But then once she did, he still tried to make her feel guilty. But blessings for her situation, he ended up passing away and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
But the exit plan. What do you think is a good exit plan for people that are in this type of situation? Because they can't stay there.
Right.
One thing we know for sure, we may not have all the answers, not even here on the Ella Johnson show. We may not have the answers, but one thing we do know is you do need to get out.
Right.
They're not going to change.
No.
They're not going to change. Did you think that your husbands were like, well, if I love them enough, they'll change?
Well, how they say, the leopard don't change his spots, may change his colors.
Yeah.
So
they never changed, and you realize, and is it possible for them to change though, the teacher? Do you think?
If they get a relationship with God, I can honestly say that God can change any situation.
That's so true.
But if He's telling you to get out,
okay,
that's a different story.
Sandra says, my kids was my reason for leaving abusive relationships, because I thought if this person should kill me, who will love my kids like me? Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. Did you ever feel that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever? Because a lot of times, I had someone that was on my broadcast, Miss Carolyn Peterson. She was on the broadcast, and she shared with us that her husband, instead of hurting her, he killed their son. 18 years old, right in front of her. He shot both sons. One lived and one died. And she's from Troy, Alabama.
I think I heard of that.
Yeah.
I think I heard that one.
Yeah. 18 years old, just shot him. And she sat there, and she still lives in the home where her son was killed.
Hmm.
And he was, I've never heard of that type of situation where instead of killing or hurting the person that they're victimizing, they kill the child. All right, let's see what Mr. Campbell has to say. Mr. Campbell wrote a book for us here. I can't see, and he's gonna write a book. All right, let's try to do this together. I think what needs to be done starts long before there is a chance of domestic violence, and that would be to teach our kids that talking through issues is the appropriate choice. That we don't need to agree to be able to see eye to eye. That in marriage we are not property to be owned. We need to stop accepting aggression and embrace the power of being assertive. Very well said.
Yes.
I like that. Talking.
Yes.
And you already pointed out that you're talking to your sons and your
Right.
daughters.
Yes.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good because they're going to grow up and be very strong. And you, my friend, are breaking the generational curse.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
kudos to you. And like
Yes.
she said, the only way you could do that is through God.
That's true.
Wow. I'm so proud of you. We have another comment here. Thank you guys so much for your comments. It's very helpful. Miss Sandra says, but I always seem to attract the same spirit because it seems when you share your past with someone you get into a new relationship with, they are the understanding, but turn around and do the same thing. It's like we're giving them the signal. So now I talk to God or get counseling. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is very interesting, Sandra. Thank you for that comment because she's right. Sometimes we repeat that pattern. Like in your case,
right.
You continue to meet guys. Drug dealers.
Yes.
Now, are all drug dealers abusive?
No.
No. I don't think they're, but you continue. What do you think that comes from, though? I mean, you were in that situation. You had two guys, and back to back, they were abusive.
Right.
What does that do to your mindset when you experience that? What does that do?
Your mental mindset. Like I said, it got me in the depression mode. But at the same time, I had to try to get out and just make the next hustle because. I'm trying to provide and have a roof over my head. So, now looking back, it's like when she said about attracting those spirits, I wasn't given, first of all, you're supposed to be married anyway with somebody. Right. But if you out here and then you sleeping with this person, sleeping with that person, well, you done slept with this person and got every spirit that's on them.
Oh, no, you're on. That's a whole different podcast.
It is,
Yes,
but I'm being honest.
It's true.
I done got some of the spirits that's on you because we didn't intertwine. And so now I'm going to the next person. I done picked up some more different type of spirits. Right. And so those spirits attract other spirits that's like spirits.
Right.
So I mean, it goes deep. It's
wow. Deep. Now, listen, soul ties.
That's exactly what it is.
It's what we are referring to because sometimes, I remember I was at this church once and the pastor talked about soul ties and he says he wants us to think about it like this, Latedra. When you're standing at that altar, you were standing there with you and then he's standing on his side. And behind you is everything that you're bringing with you into the marriage.
Right.
So when he says, I do to you, he's saying, I do to everything that's connected. So that's why it's so important that before we get married, we have to disassociate with those connections that could tear our relationship down.
Right.
How would you encourage people to get counseling after they've been abused?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Do you think they need counseling before they can find love after abuse?
Yes, most definitely. They need time to heal.
Right.
Because
sometimes people jump from one to the next. They're like, I got to get over this. So let me just get into another relationship. And then all of a sudden he's starting to see some stuff. He's like, whoa, where did that come from? He may go to touch you or embrace you in some kind of way. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you?
Yes, it has.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Now, in your relationship now?
I'm married.
You're married, and he doesn't abuse you,
No,
and he's not a drug dealer.
no,
Woo!
no. He
She said,
does
"The heck
country
with the
work.
drug dealers. They ain't doing it all like they say anyway." And now you were the good guy.
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name's Jesse.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Hello, Jesse. So how long have you and Jesse been together?
Since 2016.
Wow. And how did you meet him?
You know how you stay in the same neighborhood, and so I kind of knew him like that, but I wasn't from Foley. So at the time, I kind of knew him and his ex-wife. They were married at the time, and I was with my kid's daddy because we were all staying in the same city.
Okay. And so one day you guys just kind of met and just.
Well, actually, I had moved out of that city to another city, and years had went by, and then we kind of just connected from there.
Wow. Love after abuse. Listen, I love that, but I think there's definitely a 5-10 step program to that too.
Yes.
Because the worst thing you could do is trying to look for a savior. He is the one who should be our savior.
Yes.
And I think we get it confused because sometimes when you're used to being in relationships, Latedra, we feel like, number one, we have to be in one, and that's a lie.
Right.
We don't have to settle. I'm not gonna be one of those women that say you don't need a man. No, I'm not there because I think we should have a mate.
You're right.
Has life been so much better with Jesse?
It has.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the way he treats you, your kids see that. Are you guys those lovey-dovey kind of people at home?
I wouldn't say all that because I'm not that type. Really like that touch and go like that. I guess maybe because of all of that, but he do love on me, and I love on him too.
Wow. She's not that touchy-feely person. Yeah, some people are not like that. Some people are like, look, don't get off me.
No, I mean, we love it, Debbie, and all of that, but we're not like all the time,
See, I love that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm very soap opera-ish. Yeah. That's what I was told.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those soap operas that like to look in the eyes.
He's very affectionate. But,
really?
Yeah, he is. He's very affectionate.
When is your anniversary?
It's April 18th.
Oh, so you just celebrated another.
Yeah.
So you just celebrated another year. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Did you guys do something special?
No. Well, our kids always have spring break during the time of our anniversary, so
they're gone.
No.
Oh, they're at the house too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because if they're gone, you can create a whole. That's another show. That's another show. No, but what we wanted to do today, though, seriously, real talk, is bring a story to you that, we brought several people here on the Ella Johnson Show that shared their story of domestic violence. But unfortunately, domestic violence is still happening. People are still dying. The operators at the National Domestic Violence Hotline getting calls. Millions of people are affected by domestic violence. So that means that people are still deciding to stay for real reasons, as has been explained here today. What we have to do as a nation, as a community, is find out exactly what it is that we need to do to break these cycles and these choices that we're making. Because some of you are suffering in silence. Is it something that when you think of people that are suffering from domestic violence, what is that shame? How does that set in to the point to where I'm ashamed? I can't tell anybody. I just got to go home. We smile for the cameras, but when we go home, I get my tail beat. I can't say that because I'm ashamed. Where does that shame come from? From a woman? Did you ever feel ashamed of what was going on? That, you know what? I got to fake it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. The shame comes from you don't want to be embarrassed. Because everybody think, maybe y'all are this perfect couple or he's the one and don't really know what they say. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Hello. Did anybody ever figure it out? Because if I would have been around you and him, I would have figured it out. Because your body language. Uh-huh. Did anybody ever I'm talking about the people that really know you. Did any of them ever figure it out?
No.
Really?
No.
Wow. And you never wanted to say I think that just makes it harder.
It does.
Because you go home at night and you have nobody you can tell.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I definitely want to take some more comments here, guys. I appreciate it. He's still. I'm still waiting on God to send me mine. Me and you both, girlfriend. Me neither. Me, yes. Because you know what? And we just gotta wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Waiting is not bad, is it?
No,
How
that's
long
the
did you
best
have to
thing.
wait between the one who you jumped out of the car with to Jesse?
It was some years.
Some years.
Yeah, because I had after I had divorced my first husband, it was like maybe a year before I started dating again, and then I got in a relationship with my kid's dad, and we were together maybe like 14 years, and then after we decided to go our separate ways, it was like a year and something before I got with
Yeah.
Jesse. You know, and that in that time I was able to really love on myself and learn what
And
I
build that
like
relationship with
and what,
God.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what I like, what what makes me smile, what makes me happy, you know, because the next man, I don't want them
Yeah.
to, you know, I want you to be happy with me, not
I like that.
make me
I
happy,
like what she
you
said.
know.
She didn't want them to have to pay
Yeah.
for what the last one did.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is give yourself time to
Yeah.
heal. Did anything ever flare up though? Like once you got with Jesse, was that the end all? I never thought about those guys ever again.
No, the only thing, like, you know, of course, he finally had, I talked to him about my book that I wrote and stuff, and we
Oh
kind of
yeah,
got
we're gonna
into,
get to that in a second too.
so he
But
kind of, you know, they was like, oh, they had, and I was like, oh, you got to worry about that. So, yeah.
now Latedra, she forgot to bring her book with her today because you know she's packing all basketballs and all kinds of
Yes.
stuff. So she managed to forget that. But tell us about your book for our viewers.
The book is called Ordained in the Streets for God's Glory. What it is a biography from, believe it or not, from like the age two. God had took me all the way back to the age two. I didn't even think I could remember anything from the age two, but I actually did. And so it's kind of telling about the odds and the struggles of in the house, being in a single, you know, single household, having siblings, taking care of them, being with different drug dealers, domestic violence, rape. It goes on. The list goes on.
Wow. I want you guys to take a look at the video that I did with some young people when I went to Texas. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was in Texas for my live show at a domestic violence event. I want you guys to take a look. Hello, everyone. I am sitting here with Tamaya, right? I told you this day was coming. We are here live in McKinney, Texas, and she's all the way here from St. Pete, Florida, right around the street from me, right? So I am just so excited, Tamaya. How does it feel to be here?
It feels really good. I'm excited meeting everyone and hearing all the other artists. It's literally going amazing, honestly.
Well, I was listening to you guys today in practice, and you sounded good, girl. I know. Like you, I think you're gonna definitely be a crowd favorite because you are so focused on what it is you're trying to deliver. When you're singing, what are you thinking about, Tamaya?
It really depends on what I'm singing about because I like to put myself in what I'm singing so that it's more authentic and you can feel the emotion from it.
Who's your favorite artist?
Jasmine Sullivan.
Jasmine. I listen. I knew that. I knew the answer to that. What about your favorite quote?
So I have a scripture. My favorite scripture is Isaiah 60 and 22. At the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen. So wherever you are in life, that's where you're supposed to be. Don't think that you're behind. Don't think that you're ahead. You're right on time, and everything's gonna work out for you.
She speaks with such wisdom, right? Right. So where does that come from? Where does your motivation come from?
My motivation comes from what I've been through. Um, I've had to seek God for myself, to know Him for myself, and He's truly the one that gets me out of things and provides for me, and just continues to guide my footsteps. So
Wow. Has it been easy being a musician?
it has its ups and downs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has its ups and
Because
downs.
you know what? I think there's a misconception. I think people think that you just get up there and sing and that's it.
No,
But that's not it.
no,
Because you're met with challenges.
right.
And how do you deal with those challenges?
Honestly, practice, 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 practice. So when you perform, like I like to look back at videos and things like that, or sometimes you have to do things in the moment. So the more
Yeah.
you're singing, the more you're performing, it's easier for you to. If you hear something, you already know what to do. So it's a process. It's a process, but the more you do it, the better you get.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. When you were on my show, when we
Mhm.
did the live,
Mhm.
people just fell in love with you.
Mhm.
I mean, they were just like, "Ooh, she could sing, right?" So I want you to give them just a little bit of. Let's see, can we do my favorite artist?
Yes.
Okay, Whitney,
Okay.
greatest love of all.
I don't know that one.
You don't know greatest love of all?
No.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. I don't know what to do. Okay, she loves Jasmine Sullivan. Give us a little bit of her.
Okay. I usually lost for words. This has gotta be a first, and I'm trying to find the reason why I'm stuttering. Something funny's happening. I'm in a place I never been, and you gotta be the reason why I'm stuttering. I said, hey, 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 hello, and my name is, and it's so frustrating.
What do you say after that other than wonderful? Listen,
Thank you
there's
so
more
much.
where that came from.
Thank
But
you
listen,
so
you know,
much.
this is a domestic violence show
Yes.
tonight, and we are here to support people who
Yes.
are victims, people who have
Mhm.
survived. What would you say to the people that are stuck in these situations that they know they need to get out of?
It may be hard in the moment, but you have to leave. You have to leave because you don't, I feel like a lot of times in those situations, people are either comfortable, they're scared to leave, they don't want to make that person, they're still considering that the abuser's feelings and they're
Right.
still considering how they feel,
Yeah.
even though that they're abusing them. So I feel like you really have to think about yourself. You really have to think about your life, the people who love you, the people who look up to you, the people who are rooting for you, and ask God for that guidance to get you out of that situation.
That's real talk, guys, because my cousin did have an opportunity to do that. She
Mhm.
lost her life because
Mhm.
of domestic violence. And we are bringing this show tonight live to you from the Ella Johnson Show. And all of these artists are here tonight just so that you can know that you need to put you first
Yes.
and you need to get out before it's too late. Well, you guys are going to see more of Tamaya tonight, so stay tuned. The girl is bad. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
All right. So, guys, that was when I was in Texas. That was Tamaya Wright. She's one of the artists that was featured at that show. Did you hear what she was saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say about what her comment?
What she said, I do want to piggyback on it. When she said that you consider the person that's doing the domestic, you
Right.
consider their feelings, and that's true because I I did the same thing, and I was like, I don't want them to go to jail. I don't want them to get in trouble. So.
And I'm so glad that we're real about that because this is what I want. I would love for someone who has been the aggressor in a domestic violence, meaning the man who is actually beating the woman. I would love to interview one of you here on the Ella Johnson Show because I think that they're just as important.
Right.
So I totally agree with you that you consider them because you're like, I know this has to be a sickness.
Mm-hmm.
And no different than somebody that's on drugs, somebody, except that it hurts us with the scars we can see.
Right.
So I'm glad that you guys said that because you consider the person. I have another video, guys, because the artists, they all had something to say about domestic violence. Here's another one. Here's Kian. Hello, everyone. And as you can see, I'm sitting here with Kian Martin, another artist that's going to perform tonight live here in McKinney, Texas. But I wanted to set him aside so that we can get to know a little bit more about Keenan. He's out of Atlanta, GA. What else do we need to know about you, Keenan?
Well, first, I'm so excited to be here. And I'm originally born and raised Charlotte, North Carolina. I grew up, a musical kid, a church kid, around a lot of love, a lot of family, and music. And that set the tone for me to migrate to Atlanta, Georgia, where I went to Morehouse College. I majored in music, and I have just been so excited to watch my career continue to grow and develop, and it stems from just a lot of love and good music.
So who motivates you? Where does that come from you? Because you're very well spoken and just so positive. Who inspired you to go down this path?
Well, first, thank you. 100%. I would say the first person I have to honor is my mom.
Of course.
My mom, if you're watching, I love you. And
He does.
my yes, and my mom, along with all of my other family, they were always so gracious to just allow me an opportunity as a kid to experience everything I wanted to experience. And when music became the common thing, my mom always nurtured that, and I watched her being a phenomenal, amazing, strong Black woman such as yourself. And
Thank
that
you.
example, absolutely, that example, it forever inspires me.
You know, that is so interesting that you say that because you said she nurtured your gift. I think that is very key because a lot of young people have gifts that are not being nurtured. I want to change the tone a little bit. I want you to speak to that because I think that's where we have a lot of people, a lot of children, a lot of just even adults that are out there not living in their dream because it wasn't nurtured as a child. And you think that makes the difference, right?
Oh, 100%. Because I think, even us as adults, we are extensions of our upbringing.
Right.
We're reflections of our environment, we're reflections of our family. And, I vividly remember when my mama had me in church every day, when she would have me in my karate classes, Boy Scouts, talent shows, all those experiences, just seeing how diligent she was and being there with me, it taught me how to support. It taught me, hey, my mom is picking me up to be here on time. So I need to make sure I have practice so I don't get there and look crazy and
Right.
embarrass myself. But I feel like for us as people, it is important to stand by your children, stand by that family member, and love them and support them because that really gives them all the tools they need to see it through to the finish. And before you know it, you're watching their evolution right before your eyes, and you can say, wow, I was blessed to be a contributor to watching the seed that I planted
Yes.
blossom.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh,
Seriously.
yeah, that's a mother's dream,
Yeah.
a parent's dream
Mhm.
to see that. But let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Who are your favorite artists?
I love that question because there are so many. The first to come to my mind, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin. I love Missy Elliott. I love Jasmine Sullivan, John Legend. I mean, I could go on and on about. There are just so many artists, from their voices to their performances to their music. I think it goes without saying, they have created timeless music,
Yes.
and it forever inspires me to create my own version of timeless music.
So, a little bit of your favorite artist. Just give us a little bit.
Yes, so Stevie Wonder. Can I
Stevie
do
Wonder.
Stevie
Yeah,
Wonder?
that's good. That's good.
Okay. Oh, so long for this night I prayed that a star would guide you my way to share with me this special day where a ribbon to the sky for our love. Ooh.
I could just listen to this all night.
Oh, thank
Like,
you.
that was wonderful.
Thank
Do
you.
you get vocal coaching and all of that?
Yeah, so again, shout outs to mom and family. They planted that seed
Oh,
as a child. Hey, if you're gonna sing, you're gonna sing.
say that. I love that. She's telling him you need to perfect your craft.
Yes.
You want to be a singer? You listen. I love it.
Yes.
But I like that you didn't say that. She said there's a lot of competition. She didn't even put that thought in your head.
Mm-mm.
And I think that is so good. Mom,
Yeah.
I just would love to meet you. You've done a great job
Yes.
with this young man right here.
Thank you.
Amazing,
Shout out to
amazing.
mom.
Now,
Yeah.
this event tonight is about domestic violence and people who are either going through it, coming out of it, or just trying to survive after having experienced it. What would you say, Kian, to the people that are watching this broadcast who are victims of domestic violence?
I would say ultimately from the heart, I encourage you to truly put yourself first. A lot of times, us all living day to day, it gets very blurry sometimes to recognize that we really, really have value beyond our present circumstance. Sometimes we can invest so much in a person that you lose sense of yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And I just want you guys to be reminded that you deserve happiness, peace, love, joy, and whatever you have to do to get to that point of putting yourself first, you have to know and hear from me, you're worth it. You deserve the best. And once you do that, you know, everything will begin to come into form. But we have to learn to love ourselves even more than a person can love us,
Yeah.
you know, and we'll be good. So put yourself first. You deserve it.
You deserve it. He said it first. Listen, guys, thank you so much. And there's more to come tonight. Check him out. He'll be
Yes.
here live on the Ella Johnson Show. Stay tuned. That was another artist. That was Kian. So you got a chance to hear what he had to say about survivors. What do you think about what he said?
He did speak on keys to love yourself. You know, we do as victims. We put more value into the other person. As I said earlier, you know, thinking about their feelings and not worried about how they make me feel when you do this to me, and you know, but and it brings depression, you know, and oppression. Yeah.
Well, guys, listen, I always love whenever someone brings me a domestic violence survivor. I am like, listen, bring them. Anyone. I don't care what your story is about. If you want to share it here on the Ella Johnson Show, please, by all means, reach out. 407-334-6997. Just send a text message, because we love to bring that here. What would you like to say in ending? Because I know that you have to get back to your babies and get out here. And I definitely have to go and find me a seafood place for some lunch because girl is hungry. You already know I love to eat. But so what would you like to say in closing?
Again, I would say, you know, it's easier said than done, but you have to prepare to get out, because that last, okay, I'm gonna do this last time may be the last time. You know, and you may not survive that last time.
Because that took a lot of courage for you to jump out of that car.
Yes.
Was it? It wasn't rolling. He stopped it.
No,
oh, it was rolling.
Yeah.
The car was rolling.
It was rolling. Rolling.
Because you could have easily
hurt myself. I could have messed around and got under the car and they rolled on top of me. But that was it. I just said to myself, this is it.
And we don't want you to have to go through that. Yeah. You know, right now, I know it may be difficult, because it is difficult, because a lot of times people don't like to call the cops.
That's right.
Because I interviewed somebody on my show who did call the cops, and her daughter got killed anyway because the guy got out. They let him out on a PR bond. So when he got out, he went right back to her. He said, "Oh, you're gonna call the cops on me? Okay, you're dead." And he killed her. 25 years old. So we know there is no easy solution, right, Latedra? One thing we will say, and keep it real, it's not an easy solution, but you do need to start thinking.
Yes.
Thinking you're going to change them, thinking you're going to love them enough for them to change, thinking they're going to wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm tired of beating my wife. I'm not going to do it anymore. Those things may not happen because there's something inside of them that needs to be fixed.
Right.
And we got to be real about that. We don't hate them. This show is not to beat them up, but at the same time, it is something that we have to address in our community. Yes. Right. Well, we're going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you, Latedra. I know I had to pull you away from your family today, but your sons might meet my nephew in the finals or something. I'm just saying. Now, I don't want you to take it out on me if you see me and I'm down there, because I will be the loudest one. I promise you that. So don't take it personal. I was just on her show and now we're against them. Now she done changed.
It's just a game.
It's just a game, right? I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, this show has been filmed live from Birmingham, Alabama, right here in the hotel. But we're gonna get out of here. My outro. I want you guys to look at me crazy because it's gonna still say Texas. It's because that was the last one that was in here, but it's to give you some information about the Ella Johnson Show. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And for all of you that will watch this show at the 6 p.m., it was pre-recorded, so we may not be able to put your notes and your comments up, but we appreciate you for tuning in. For all of you that watch the show, please share the broadcast because that's how we get more viewers and that's how we make people more interested in the Ella Johnson Show. If you'd like to be guests, hit me up. All right, till next time. See you next time right here on the Ella Johnson Show. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on The Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.